Hi, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with HealthyBlackWoman.com, and this is Shaquita Graham with LovingTheBlackMan.com and Ateco.com. How are you doing today, Shaquita?
I'm doing all right, but this topic right here has me a little irritated.
Okay, so you actually sent me a link to a magazine called Prepare Yourself, Baby Mama. And the funny thing is, I actually saw it again on my timeline where there was this new, it's relatively new because I hadn't seen it up until when you sent it to me, and I saw it on my timeline again today. The magazine is called Baby Mama. And I think what stood out to me was it had a black woman on the cover. I think this is the February edition of the magazine. It had a black woman on the cover with a gaggle of children. I think maybe there's 5 of them on there. And I immediately thought to myself, what is this? Because let me ask you something, Shaquita. What comes to your mind when you hear the word baby mama or the words baby mama?
I mean, it's nothing good. It's nothing good. And I've actually reprimanded some of the young women in my family when they're like, yeah, this guy says I'm going to be his baby's mama. And I'm like, that's not a good thing.
Right.
So it conjures up the thoughts of a black woman in a position and in a moral situation that's indicative of the normal propaganda that mainstream media tries to put forth about the black image, whether it's the black woman or the black man. It's ridiculous.
Right. You know, I'm reminded of this. I saw a story that showed there was a product, and I want to believe it was available at Walmart. And the product did its job in terms of diversity. So they had some packaging which showed a white family, and then they had some packaging which showed a black family. Now, the problem was it was actually a little thing that you carry. You know how you carry your baby right on your chest or right on your back, and you fasten them onto you? And the product had a white family with mommy and baby fastened onto her and daddy standing right there. And then the one with the black family had just mommy with baby fastened to her and no daddy. And it made me wonder why they chose to do that. Now, I can acknowledge that we do see more single black mothers, or at least I have seen more single black mothers than I've seen white mothers. I can acknowledge that. But how much of this is being pushed negatively, do you think?
Well, first of all, I think a lot of it, most of it is being pushed negatively because, first of all, I don't see a lot of single black mothers. I have 3 or 4 aunts. They've all been married or had a consistent, they're the father of their child in their life, whatever the arrangement was. Mm-hmm. And as a result of all of those people, I have several cousins, and almost all of them are married or they're with the person that they have children with.
Right.
And so this just makes me think of Hitler's Nazi propaganda campaign. I mean, Hitler wrote in his book 3 chapters on propaganda, and he created a whole newspaper for the purpose of deteriorating or degrading the image of the Jew in Nazi Germany. And I feel like that's what happens to the black community every day, but we see it as innocent. And one of my Facebook friends, his name is Jamil, he said that nearly all of the covers of this magazine, they have white women with 1 child, but the one that has multiple kids, they reserve for basically a black woman. And also the cover for this edition has article titles that he says are deplorable and demeaning. So once again, we need to know that no one is going to respect our image like us, and we have to take control of media, and we have to control the media that we watch and we allow our children to watch.
Right. And you know, when I saw the magazine and I looked more into it, I actually thought it was a joke. Because one of my Facebook friends put it on there, and I thought it was one of those memes where they make up something. Even the titles of the stories in there seemed. I just thought it was a satire meme. I really thought it was, and I actually commented on it, and I said, "This has to be a joke. It is a joke, isn't it?" Then I looked at all the other comments responding to the image, and most of them were like, "This has to be a joke. This is a joke, right?" Mm-hmm. Because nobody believes that somebody can be so bold to do that. But the other thing that I am aware of is this may have been deliberate in the sense that here we are talking about it, and thousands of people are going to see us talking about it. And that will work well for the magazine, for people to start talking about it and become curious about it. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But I think what I did take issue with, as you mentioned, is that when I looked at the past issues or the past covers, I think one had 3 little white boys, and then another one had a white mom with 1 white kid. And then the most recent one is a mom with about 5 kids, a black mom with 5 kids. And then the other thing is there's always that running stereotype that, multiple kids by multiple men, which again is true for some people, but that's not what is true for everybody. And I think that what the problem that I have with that is people take what they judge as the worst possible way to be and then try to put that as the image of who we all are. And just, our readers know, our readers and our audience kind of know you and I. You've been married for about 13 years. You have 2 kids. I've been married for 11 years and I have a couple of kids. So that's not us. But somehow we have to believe that image should represent us. Don't you think?
Well, I mean, this is nothing new. It's not going to stop. And we need to figure out what we're going to do about it. What I decided to do is pull my kids out of the public fool system where they're being lied to on a consistent basis and their image is being degraded and all of those things. And I think in starting a business where we promote Black images of intelligence and intellectual genius. So these are the things we need to do. I only watch online media like Boyce Watkins, Urban Intellectuals, different places like that, Financial Juneteenth. So, and I censor what my children watch. And it reminds me of Kenya's regulators for their television. They were recently faced with Netflix coming to their country, and the Kenyan Film Classification Board representative claims that Netflix is contributing to the country's moral decline. He said that Kenya could not afford to be a passive recipient of foreign content that could corrupt the moral values of their children. I don't know who this representative is, and I don't know what his platform really is all about, but I do have respect for the fact that he is saying that we are going to be careful about letting propaganda or media or so-called entertainment into our country that will disrespect the values that we feel are indicative of the people of our country. And that's what we as Black people, I think, need to focus on more.
Right. So you're saying that you do think it's a good idea to protect our image, and you're applauding the actions of this man. I mean, of course, we need to know more about what his angle is, why he's doing that. But
right. I don't know any of that.
Absolutely. I was born and raised in Botswana, which of course is in Africa. And one of the things that I can say, having lived here in the United States now for almost 2 decades, is the image of who we are is so distorted that it's unbelievable. So I've already had that experience, and I have it in 2 ways, in that people distort our image as Africans, and then I have to live here as a Black person. And once again, the image of Black people is also distorted. I'm married to an African American man, so it's like I get a double punch. in the sense that, African Americans have this image that people try to distort, and I'm raising kids who are growing up Black in America, perceived as only African American. So it's an interesting thing to deal with, but I do think that we do have to sometimes say no. And to me, this magazine is a no. It's a no. Especially if it's called Baby Mama, and we know what that image, what that conjures up. And the magazine, I imagine, isn't even a magazine that was started by Black women. I really don't think so. And that's what kind of bothers me too.
Well, and this is the thing. I can't say that it wasn't started by Black women because a Black illustrator did that book on Washington's birthday cake. So what happens is we have a system that perpetuates or has an assembly line for these kinds of people that, I've heard people call them coons or thoughts or whatever. But, when you have on TV One a new television show called Here We Go Again, which is about what's called the some kind of family curse where all the women get pregnant at the age of 16. Like, is this the best we can do on TV One as far as content? It's ridiculous. And, I just don't even want to go there. But
let me ask you something interesting, though. There are women who, Black women, let's go far as saying that because this is TV One, right? There are Black women who had children as teenagers, and their children had children as teenagers. So are we saying that they don't get a show?
Well, what I'm saying is this. First of all, there's this big double standard because there's white women, Black women, Asian women who have children as teenagers, and many of them that you didn't see the child as a teenager. The child was sent off for adoption or aborted. So, it's not about it's just when Black women do certain things. Like, for instance, one of the richest Black men in America, he's married to a Playboy playmate. But if that was a Black woman, then she would have to be a thought. I am not trying to tell anybody who their choices should be as far as who they should marry. I have my own standards and values as far as character, and I'm not saying I'm a perfect person, and I've definitely been imperfect. So, but the whole point is, why the double standard? You can put Kim Kardashian or Marilyn Monroe up on this pedestal. They're not a thought. They're not a whore. But, somebody down the street who, instead of aborting their baby, they raise their baby on their own. They value their child, and they're trying to do the best that they can. Now, she has to be some kind of hood rat and all of these kind of things. Now, again, I do believe in Black family, and I do believe in Black marriage, but we have to, as the Black community, protect our community, our people. We have to circle the wagons around our image, and we have to build in a way that gives us power over these images. Our intellectual property is probably the most valuable thing that we have, because from that, all things flow.
Okay. So part of what I'm hearing is, that show can exist, but let's not let that be the only story or the most prominent story. Let's not let that be the only image, because it's not. Okay, everybody has different ways in which they build their families and so forth, and we don't need that just one bastardized. I like using that word because it really is true, that bastardized image where something is taken, it's pulled to its most extreme and most negative point, and then that's what was put in front of us as what's real and what's most common. I think we can agree on that.
Absolutely, and I think that we need to understand that these things are strategies of war. This quote I heard, and I'm not sure where it's from, it may be from the Art of War, that everything moves for war. So when you see TV One come out with this television show, when you see these people name this baby mama, and all of these things are calculated. You can go in any major corporation and you'll see tons of meeting rooms with people all around the table, and they are strategizing and they are think tanking about how to get certain things done, and why are we having this blue? Why is this red? What will the DNA of this person, how will it respond to this or that? So these things are calculated, and we need to take note, and we need to take action. And so, again, that's why with ateco.teachable.com, I'm building the $1 billion tech startup where we're going to explore how we can get involved in disruptive technologies to create economic opportunities in our community as entrepreneurs and as a career in technology. So there's things that we need to do to counter these things. Instead of being offended, we need to be on the offensive.
I understand. So creating positive images, creating positive platforms, doing positive things. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And while we're on that note, I just want to remind our audience that this is ShaquitaGraham.com, and she just mentioned she's the founder of ateco.com, ateco.com, and lovingtheblackman.com. I'm Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with healthyblackwoman.com, and this is a segment of Your Black Women, where Black women keep it real. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Shaquita, for having this conversation with me.
Thank you.
Take care.
Guys.